We begin with security concerns as Nigeria's worsening security crisis has once again come under focus as a coalition of civil society leaders, politicians and public figures issue a joint statement warning that the country is bleeding. The statement, signed by former Aviation Minister Osita Chidoka, media personality Kadaria Ahmed, former Minister Nweke Jnr, business leader Tonye Cole, and over a dozen other notable Nigerians, cites more than 10,000 violent killings in 2 years, according to Amnesty International. The leaders compared Nigeria's losses to war-torn regions like Ukraine, Gaza, and Syria, stressing that the scale of killings in states such as Benue, Plateau, and Zamfara states reflect wartime devastation, despite Nigeria being officially at peace. They called for the creation of a presidential task force on national security with extraordinary powers to coordinate intelligence, disarmament, programs, humanitarian support, and quarterly public security reports to restore public trust. The signatories insist that history will not judge the bandits, but those in power who fail to act decisively to protect Nigerians. For more on the security concerns, Emmanuel Ikule joins us now from Lagos. Emmanuel is a security expert. Hello and welcome to the news. Now, how feasible is the creation of a presidential task force with extraordinary powers in the current Nigerian political and constitutional framework? Hello, Mr. Emmanuel.
I like the opinions of people. Yeah. I appreciate the opinions of people, but as it concerns to a country like ours, we are expected to be governed by the 1999 Nigerian Constitution. And if you look into that, there's no legal backing to anything like presidential task force. So it only requires maybe the House, the National Assembly actually giving those powers or creating a bill that establishes such powers. We can still work with synergy of having a joint task force of all the security agencies becoming part of that process, and we can get an advisory body to advise. But in the situation where we are thinking about creating, a lot of persons have opinions on how things should be done, but sometimes they don't look at this for such a thing to exist in our own country or in our own society. So for now, based on the constitution we have, that is not legal, that is one. But if they are talking about having a body, that an advisory body where the federal government or the president can appoint people that play an advisory role, so maybe a joint task force or leadership of all these service chiefs being present, leadership of the police force being present, DSS and all these security agencies being together in a room, and they play an advisory role, then that can work. But the extraordinary presidential task force, it's more like turning it into a company where one man decides what works for the people. Yes, the intentions are good, but legally, it's not possible and shouldn't be.
All right, so could you tell us what are the key reasons behind this persistent violence going on in states like Benue, Plateau, and Zamfara, even though there have been years of police and military deployments?
So there is what we call political will. So political will is the first one. Most times, as we have been unfortunate to have leaders that think just about themselves instead of about the persons they are actually governing. And that has been the reasons why there's absence of accountability almost in every sector in the country. So as concerns security, first, over and over again, you appoint service chiefs and they have a mandate to protect or ensure protection of lives and property across all the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. But in Nigeria, even though they fail, they are still being given ambassadorial positions. Instead of being punished or being given life imprisonment to serve as deterrent to other persons coming. Let's not forget that by nature, we have personal sentiments, maybe sentiments of tribe or location or whatever, or wherever we come from. But when it comes to serving the country, the interests of the country should be first. But unfortunately, our leaders have not really been interested in the security of lives and property. as long as it doesn't affect the money they are getting. That is one. At the level of states, states too have not actually, they have also lacked the will to actually push through to protecting their persons. For security agencies, I will say very clearly that they have not been interested in addressing issues of insecurity because they are actually benefiting. When issues like this happen, there's increase in budgetary allocations given to them, even though there's no return and they have never been audits of the funds given to them, but consistently they have been giving them funds and there have not been accountability where even after you have given them funds and they fail to deliver, you have, the country have not at any time punished service chiefs. So indirectly, you are telling, indirectly, we are in a situation where failure is being rewarded with extra job. Failure is being rewarded with ambassadorial position. So that's the situation where currently we are. So lack of political will is the first one. Second one is appointments not based on capacity, which I've just said concerning the service chiefs you have. We are also looking at absence of functionability of oversight structures or accountability structures. In Nigeria, for the police, we have the Police Service Commission. But over years or for some time now, even when issues of insecurity, even when in these areas, like Benue, for example, recently, after the killings in Yeliwata, about 200 persons died, you see that people came out to complain and even protest. You see the police going there to shoot at unarmed protesters, and even some having bullet wounds to go to be treated at the hospitals. What did the Police Service Commission do about it? Nothing. The National Human Rights, that the body should be defending the rights of citizens. What did they do? Nothing. The internal complaint mechanism, which is the CRU inside the police, that they should also call these persons to account. Nothing. The president instead paid a courtesy visit and was more like as if it was a child play, as if they were coming to campaign. So if we are looking at all these layers of government, all these different actors that are involved in this particular, that are at the helm of affairs and keep playing lip service to issues of lives and property, then you know that we don't have a clear-cut road, or we don't have leaders that are thinking about our growth. So over time, this has been the issues around these consistent and persistent issues in these zones. And also, just to add again, this Middle Belt is a very fertile land that provides, or there's always like green grass all throughout the season. So a lot of persons who wish to also be able to bring their cattle to feed and all that, they have been advisory at different times that people can ranch. You can go to these places, lease the land, or rent a place where you can be able to graze, keep your cattle and do ranching and all that. But certain persons have consistently refused to adhere to this. And Nigeria as a country over the years, they have never and have not tried to even punish these persons. That is why there's consistent defaulting of these laws or these bills, these regulations in different parts of the country. And people continue to die, except the country starts holding people to account, especially when it is loss of lives and property.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Ikule, security expert. Thank you for your input on this very serious matter.